Philip, come join me over here real quick. As you're coming, I do want to say this. Your mom and dad are two of the finest Salvation Army officers I've ever known. And so proud to know them and their impact they've had on my life, certainly on your life and Matthew's life and so many others. We also found out from Matthew's introduction today that you're also the best athlete in the family. So that's good. Well, I'd like to know, and I think everybody here would like to know a little bit of how the Army's musical teaching, the impact you've had or has had on you as you've grown up in the Salvation Army, how that's, helped you today in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been really blessed to be afforded some really awesome music education through school, middle school, high school, all the way into college, did 2 degrees, studied with some really awesome professors. But I always look back to my time in the Salvation Army music programs where I really got my start and where the passion of music really started for me. And I just think the Salvation Army does a really good job of bringing young people in and immersing them in an environment of mentorship and just having them play with really, really great players and mentors at an early age, and that was the case for me. Before I even started into school band, a lot of us started in the Salvation Army bands before we even went to school bands. Sure. And so through all of that, all the way into college and even past that, I think I developed my musical identity really through the Salvation Army brass bands and how music just means more to us because of the greater meaning to the music that we're playing. And I always appreciated that, and I always felt like every time I approach something musically, I kind of approach it because of my upbringing from the Salvation Army.
How old were you when you said, I want to do this the rest of my life?
That's a good question. I think it was probably sometime in high school, much like many high schoolers that are kind of really getting into it and being immersed in it. Probably somewhere in ninth grade is when I decided, I don't know what I want to do in music, but I know I want to do this the rest of my life. So.
Well, I used to see Facebook posts from your dad and mom about your work up at West Point and the band there. But how did you get from there into the band? I had the opportunity to hear the President's own Marine Corps band. Fantastic. They say it's the top in the world, and who am I to argue? But how did you get from West Point to there? Because that's not easy.
No, and I've been in the band, the Marine band, for about 1.5 years now, and every now and then I have to kind of pinch myself because it really has been a dream come true for me. A dream that I had all the way back in high school when I first heard the Marine band. Always wanted to be in it, but just never really had the opportunity because auditions don't come open very often. But I was very fortunate to win my first job right out of college with the West Point band and spent 11 years there. A lot of life happened. Got married, had a kid, and I really grew as a musician there. Some really fine players, really fine musicians, really awesome friends that I'll call friends for the rest of my life. But I kind of know this is going to be where I finish out my career until an opening came open with the Marine band. And I always told my wife if the Marine band ever came open, it's the one band that I would probably throw my hat into. Yeah. And I was at a crossroads in my career, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to take the audition, but some colleagues of mine kind of convinced me to take it, and I put everything into it. And I'm really fortunate to have come out on top.
So they called you?
Well, not really.
No, it's just noticed an opening was there, and
so the Marine band. One of the hardest parts about our audition process is that we're one of the few organizations that still does what we call a cattle call audition, which is where we post the audition online, and anyone and everyone can come show up, whether you're a professional or not. You have to show up and get a number, wait in line, and get in front of the committee. Who's behind a screen, and you have to play and try to get past that first round and move on to subsequent rounds. So It's kind of like American Idol. You just kind of show up, and you get a number, and you're told a time, you show up, and then hopefully you play well enough to advance and move on to the next round.
Well, again, we found out from your brother you've had 2 rehearsals, and you nailed them both. So, man, that's clutch.
Yeah, it's unusual, I guess, but the second one was definitely harder because having a child and a wife and a life and a full-time job. Although it is a playing job, it was still a full-time job to be able to manage that audition prep for 3+
Yeah, but they're
months.
the best uniforms in the world. I mean, they make our uniforms look.
They're very loud. It's very red.
I love their uniforms. Well, you've got another number you're going to do here in just a minute, The Great Adventure.
Yep.
You have any
I do.
thoughts you'd like to share about this?
Came prepared.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I've always liked Norman Bearcroft's music. He founded the International Staff Songsters and the Canadian Staff Band. I was doing a little digging into his bio, and he has a lot of really cool history. And so he was kind of a prolific Salvation Army composer in his time. Sadly passed away a few years ago, but I always liked how he treated the euphonium in his pieces. He really wrote for the euphonium really well, and he wrote a lot of solos. A lot of more modern Salvation Army composers haven't really written solos for euphonium. They've written a lot for cornet and a lot of other instruments, but not really for euphonium. But Norman did, and he wrote a lot for Derek Kane, who was in the International Staff Band for a long time. And this one was written for Derek Kane. The other thing I like about his music, and it's very similar to any other Salvation Army piece, is that the melodic content is derived from some kind of hymn, Salvation Army hymn. And he used several hymns in this piece, but the one that I like the most is in the middle section. It's a very slow lyrical section, and he actually took an old hymn called Just As I Am, Thine Own to Be. It's a late 1800s hymn, and he wrote his own music to it, turned it into a choral piece, and then he used that music for the second section of this piece, and it's a really beautiful melody. This piece is in like kind of a fast, slow, fast form. So,
Well, we're looking forward to it. So take it away, Maestro. Thank you.